I think the Eagles are going to win matches.
How do we even allow you to have a mic? You're losing!
All right, you're on. All right, the game didn't start.
I don't even care if you're an Eagles fan. You're delusional.
Mahomes is sacked. Mahomes pressured again. Sacked again. Intercepted. Picked off by Cooper DeJean. Middle, and it's intercepted again. Mahomes pressured again. Far side of the field. It is knocked away. Devontae Smith. He has got
it. Okay. Feels the need to open up a beer. Wonderful. Just fantastic.
Let's talk about the fucking Super Bowl. Let's fucking go. Fuck the intro. I'm excited for this. I don't know about you guys. I'm a huge Eagles fan. Eagle jersey, Eagle jersey, Eagle jersey, Eagle jersey. I told you. All right? Let's fucking go. All right. Let me calm down a little bit. Hold on. Obviously, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. I'm excited. We got to talk about the game, but there's a bunch of other shit we have to talk about. We got Dean, I want you to start because I just want to sit back and relax for this one.
You've earned your beer. Congratulations. It's always nice when a fandom wins the Super Bowl or wins any championship for that matter. So I congratulate you, good sir. I think that was the cherry on top of quite literally the worst 12-month stretch of any year in Giants football history. So it was just fitting for me to continue to bask in the misery. So well done to the Philadelphia Eagles. They played a phenomenal game. They truly did show that they were the better team in this game. Their defense was outstanding, to say the very least. Jalen Hurts really, showed up when he needed to in the biggest game of his career. Not counting the first Super Bowl, he's grown up and grown since then. So very happy for him as well. Did want to give a shout out to the NFL. This year is officially a record-breaking year for views for a Super Bowl. 126 million people in the United States, which is crazy to think about because that's over a third of the population, which is just unbelievable. So want to give a shout out to the NFL here. But yeah, I mean, honestly, first and foremost, I do want to give a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. They played a great game. I did think it was going to be a lot closer. I did say that the Eagles had a chance to win because obviously if you make the Super Bowl, you always have a chance to win. I did think it was going to be a one-score game or a three-point game just based on how both teams, played throughout the year. I was horribly wrong. The Kansas City Chiefs' black magic finally ran out. They really just showed a lot of ineptitude in the first half, and then by the time the middle of the third quarter came, it was way too late. They were down like 27 points, so that's pretty much a wrap on that one. Give props to the Eagles. They did not let up in the slightest, which is what you have to do in the biggest game of the season, of course. And then like I mentioned earlier, shout out to, just the key area. It's an age-old adage, but it reigns true every single Super Bowl. Defense wins championships. And the Eagles had a top 2 defense in the NFL. They showed why they had a top 2 defense in the NFL and completely shit on Patrick Mahomes. Look, I'm going to let you have your moment, Derek. You've earned it. It's a big win for you, so I'm going to leave it up to you.
All right, first of all, I have to thank this man. Jalen fucking Hurts. Obviously, he had his pick in the game, but he played a great game. I'm so happy right now. These past 48 hours have been the best 48 hours of my life, by far. First of all, I need to start by thanking the God himself, Vic Fangio. That man, there needs to be a statue built in Philadelphia, sculpted of his face. I've never seen our defense fire on all cylinders. Our pass rush. We got to Mahomes 6 times with 15 quarterback pressures, which is fucking insane. Insane. Josh Sweat had 2.5 sacks. Williams, 2. I believe he had 2. And obviously there was a bunch of other widespread with Jordan Davis with a sack and then a half a sack somewhere. I am so happy right now. The young people showed out on our team. Obviously, what I said, and this is the one thing I need to say. I said last week that the Eagles are going to win by 2 scores.
They did.
They would have won by they won by
They won by 3 scores.
Yeah, they won by 3 scores. They would have won by 34 if they didn't take out their starters. Which by far, taking out your starters in the Super Bowl is the most amazing thing to see as like the fan who's of the team who's doing it. It's like you played so good in the biggest game of the year to where you could take out your starters and celebrate so early. First, one player I need to mention, Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean is not a safety. He's just a corner who'll lock down your number one.
That white Caucasian corner is a fucking animal. I love him. He went to Iowa. He's 22 years old. 22 years old. And he got his first career pick in the Super Bowl, and it was a pick 6. Outstanding. Outstanding fucking work. That's on the defense right now. Let me go to the offense. Obviously, going into this game, I was expecting Saquon to get shut down. Because obviously I said I was being outlandish and saying like, oh, Saquon was going to rush for like 100 and something, whatever. But I knew it was going to be a hard game. The KC has one of the best rush defense in the league. And we can't deny that. But what Jalen did on his feet that game, he broke his own record, by the way, for 11 rushes, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Outstanding. Fucking outstanding. Obviously, he had his pick with the Nick Bolton coming in with a Cam Jurgens pretty much not even blocking anyone. He threw it up to A.J. Brown, picked off. It's fine. Luckily, our defense showed up to where the team pulled back from a mistake, got the ball back, drove down the field and scored.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. And obviously, the one thing I got scared about during the game is when A.J. Brown had a fucking argument with Nick Sirianni. Of course, caught on camera. Then fucking next play, you see that next drive, he scores a fucking touchdown. A fucking amazing to see. I have no words to just. I'm so happy. One question I have for you, Dean. Overall, if you could pick one player who won the Eagles the game, who would you say it is?
You got to say it's Jalen Hurts. You got to give props where props are due, man. I mean, Kansas City came in this game with a clear-cut motive on defense and what everybody thought what they were going to do, shut down Saquon Barkley. And you know what? To be completely honest with you, they did. They really did shut down Saquon. If you told me at halftime he was going to have 30 rushing yards, you would think the Eagles would have been down, right? If you told me by the end of the game Saquon Barkley was going to have 57 rushing yards and less than 100 yards in total, I would have told you the Eagles would have lost. So the Kansas City Chiefs came into this game with a clear-cut game plan to shut Saquon and the run game down. And they did. They actually succeeded on that. That's the one portion of the game where the Kansas City Chiefs succeeded. They allowed and wanted Jalen Hurts to win the game, and he did. Look, he was almost flawless. Yes, he had that one bad pick where he had a naked guy coming right towards him, and he just threw it up, and it was like 5-10 yards, ahead of the guy. Right? It is what it is. You get over it, right? But this guy had 2 touchdowns, 221 yards, not to mention 72 yards and a touchdown on the ground. The tush push in the very, I think it was the second drive, if I'm not mistaken.
So, third drive of the game.
Third drive. So he did everything he needed to do. And every time the Chiefs blitzed, which was a lot because Spagnuolo does that a lot, he was able to find the open receiver, whether it's on an out route to the sideline, whether it was down deep to A.J. Brown or to Jahan Dotson. He found these guys, right? He was calm, cool, collected. He did what he needed to do. Jalen Hurts was definitely the major reason on offense that they won this game. No, hands down, props where props are due.
Obviously, I 100% agree. But if I were to say if there was another person, and I know it might be crazy, but I would give it to Cooper DeJean. Because that pick six was a game that changed everything. Because they obviously it was a third down. It was a third down 16. We just got a sack. We just got 2 sacks, I believe. And Mahomes rolls outside the pocket. Coop picks it off, runs it back. That momentum that we had from that point, in fucking sane. And this is not like for like one certain player. This is a whole. The offensive line played outstanding against Spags' fucking blitz. I did not. I honestly thought I would have saw Jalen on the ground at least like 5 times that game.
Yeah, look, we talked about it in depth previously. You knew Spagnuolo was going to send blitzes left and right. Right, that's just the way he operates on the defensive side of the ball, and he put a lot of trust into his corners and safeties to cover man to man. And in the very first half, it didn't happen. Right, on the very first drive of the game, he sent an all-out blitz. AJ Brown caught it on 4th down on the sideline with a bullshit penalty that called it back. That was the first indication that the corners maybe just didn't have it. Right? And then the very next drive, he throws it to Jahan Dotson, who's wide open, naked, and he hits him in stride, gets down at the 1 for a tush-push touchdown. So Spags, how his defense works is he wants the pressure on the quarterback, so he doesn't have a lot of time, so he has to throw. But that also puts pressure on the corners to not get beat deep. That's the one thing you can't do when you're blitzing is get beat deep. And they consistently got beat deep, which is where the problems lied. So you do have to give a lot of props to the offensive line just in terms of holding them just enough for Jalen Hurts to have that time to throw a perfect deep ball. And look, you also have to give props to Gainwell and Saquon for also picking up blitzers on the linebackers, ends, corners, all that stuff. So it was a really team effort on the offensive side. I just wanted to say, though, I mean, this game was won by the defense. Your defense, the Eagles' defense, was just exceptional from all areas, all facets. Not only did they pick Mahomes off twice, one was a pick six, as you mentioned. They forced a fumble and recovered the fumble, and on top of that, they sacked him 6 times. They did not allow Mahomes to breathe.
I love it.
Which is, like I was saying earlier, defense wins championships, and they proved it. I mean, they held the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions to 22 total points, and that's, by the way, 16 garbage points in the 4th quarter. So they really held them to 6 points all game. They held Kelsey to 0 catches in the first half. Not 1, 0. And nobody in the running game for the Kansas City Chiefs had more than 25 yards, and that was Mahomes.
Crazy.
The defense was exceptional. Just exceptional.
I'm so like another player in the defense, Nick Bond, or no, not Nick Bond, Zach Bond. My fault. We signed him this year to a 1-year deal from the Saints. He was nothing before this year. I wouldn't say he's nothing. He was a good linebacker, but he turned into an All-Pro, and he played outstanding in the game too. I was honestly shocked how we locked down Kelsey like so easily. But obviously, it puts into effect the pass rush. Mahomes had no time to throw the ball. No time. Going on to KC for a little bit to get away from the Eagles for now. Who would you blame specifically in this for the KC's loss?
It's tough. I'm going to blame Kansas City's offensive line, right? Because I saw a stat, and you could correct me on it. The Eagles did not blitz once in the game. No. So they consistently sent a 4-man rush. And Patrick Mahomes had a forced fumble recovered by the Eagles and 6 sacks against, not to mention all the QB pressures. So that's all in the offensive line. Not one blitz. All you had to do was pick up your man. And they did not. At all. So if they're able to pick up their guys, 4 rushers coming at you and give Mahomes a little bit more time, we could be talking about a different outcome right now. This could be a totally different game.
I could be drinking vodka.
But they didn't. They sucked. Their offensive line sucked ass in every single way fathomable. They couldn't get anything on the run. Mahomes was running for his life half the game, which caused the interceptions, which caused the fumble, which caused the sacks and the pressures. I mean, it was just like clockwork. And then the other portion of it is just poor defensive on the back end, right? Their corners and safeties, when you blitz as much as the Spags defense does, as I mentioned earlier, the corners and safeties' jobs are to keep everything ahead of you. If he gets a 5-yard pass, you know what? So be it on a blitz. If he gets a 40-yard pass on a blitz, that's on you. You have to defend everything behind you when you're sending 7 guys on a blitz. And they just consistently did not do that. So it was those two facets of the game. I mean, it proved throughout the game that the Eagles just had better talent, better execution, better team.
What I will say, the last thing I would emphasize, we didn't. Honestly, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I was so stressed going into this game because obviously KC was going. Obviously, they were the favorite, and they were the defending champs. That was big. This game was so like mentally for the Eagles. I couldn't even imagine what they were fucking going through.
Yep.
They lost to a team 2 years before to a field goal off a bad call. Still say that to this day. But it's just, in my opinion, I would put a little more blame on Mahomes. The reason why, obviously, he is known to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. No, in the world, right? Brady, he can't be compared to Tom Brady when he has a stinker like that.
It's true.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, I think he had 24 yards in the first half.
It was bad. Like, the majority of his yards did come in the fourth quarter, especially when he hit that 50-yard deep ball to Xavier Worthy. So, yes, I completely agree. And then just not to go off your Patrick Mahomes point, because I agree with you, right? He's still young. He's still got a lot of time left to have that GOAT debate continue on for years, right? But this was a bad stinker by him. Obviously, his offensive line failed him. He was running for his life. I get it. But great quarterbacks make great decisions, and they elevate your game in the biggest moments, right? Even Tom Brady was down 28-3 in a Super Bowl and fucking locked in, man. Locked in. That's what GOATs do. However, back on the defensive side of the ball, where I'm just consistently roasting the shit out of the Kansas City Chiefs, 5 different players receiving on the Philadelphia Eagles had a reception of 20 yards or more. That's horrific.
That's amazing.
That's disgusting. That's almost like the corners and the safeties just didn't get. They were just playing zone and just fucking eating hot dogs out there in the secondary. That's horrible. It could not have been played worse in the secondary by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm not even going to blame the defensive line because they got pressure on Hurts. They hurried him. It was the fact that the receivers that Hurts was throwing to on those blitzes were wide the fuck open.
Even Saquon on the wheel route.
Everyone. It was just depressing. Very depressing performance.
One thing I was shocked by the Eagles, I was not expecting Saquon to have, I believe it was 6 or 7 receptions this game.
He had 6. It's because they focused so heavily on stopping him in the run game. So you had to get creative and send him out there for screens, wheel routes, curl routes, all that good stuff.
This game, like for like Eagles fans, was so huge. For me, I was so it was so crazy. And the thing that a lot of people were saying is that if you watched the game and you heard like the stands, when the Eagles got a sack, it was like a fucking home game.
I will say this, it was prevalent in the crowd when they were introducing both teams. That stadium was easily 80% Eagles fans.
I think there's maybe like, I don't know how much that Caesars Superdome could fill, but I think it was like 60,000. Could be wrong.
There was 80% Eagles fans.
Yes.
The Chiefs were getting booed on almost every single play. The Eagles were getting cheered on almost every single play. Not to mention Taylor Swift in the box getting booed every time they showed her face in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That was the best. That was the best thing in the world.
So, look, this was absolutely no putting it aside. This was a masterclass by the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the worst year of my Giants fandom. Not to mention before. I mean, I'm not going to make it about myself.
No, you can. You can for a little bit.
In the last 12 months of the Giants fandom, right? You lose Saquon Barkley. Not to mention you lose him to your rival in the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles then go on to win the Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley breaking the all-time rushing record in a season. Then the Giants get 3 wins in the year. They win in week 17, forfeiting the first overall pick, so they even screw up tanking. Eli Manning doesn't get into the Hall of Fame.
We will talk about that.
And then the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, pre-game of the Super Bowl, Michael Strahan is waving an Eagles fan on a boat saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly." You might as well just stick an ice pick in my testicles. This couldn't have been a worse 12-month stretch for any Giant fan ever.
When I saw Michael Strahan do that, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Disgraceful. I wish there was a Giant fan on that boat between him and Saquon who went up there and pushed him off the boat.
Dude, I can't even emphasize how much, Dean, I thank you and all Giants fans for giving us Saquon Barkley. Honest to God, going into the year, I did not expect the Eagles to, by getting Saquon Barkley, would win a championship. I didn't think that.
Just pure sadness. Just pure. And you know what the good news is? There is a silver lining for me.
How?
There is. Everything I just listed, right? I'm sorry. It physically cannot get worse. The Giants are at rock bottom. There is no going down. There's no getting worse than this. There isn't, Derek. No, there's nothing you can say.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Malik Neighbors requesting a trade. That's down. That's rock bottom.
That would never happen. It was his first year, right? That's not gonna happen. This is rock bottom. They can't get worse than the fucking events that happened in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I would say it's been a horrible 12 months for New York in general.
It hasn't been great.
It's been fucking horrible.
The highlight was a team making the World Series but then losing.
I'm laughing, but I'm also upset because I'm also a Yankee fan. But hey, it's the Eagles' time. One thing I will say, obviously, happy belated birthday to Saquon Barkley. What a birthday gift. And Cooper DeJean, which, might I add, is actually so cool how you win a Super Bowl on your fucking birthday.
Yep, solving racism 2 people at a time.
All right. But this is the last thing I'm going to talk about for the Super Bowl until we talk about mini topics. There's a lot of people were talking about that first call in the game.
Yep.
And then even Brady and Kevin, is it Burkhardt?
Yep.
Kevin Burkhardt were wondering, how the fuck was that a call? And then there's another call. And then everyone thought
the very next drive.
The very next
against the Chiefs when they were on offense.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was almost as if because honestly the rest of the game I thought the officiating was fine. It's almost as if they made a horrific call on the first drive and they said, "Oh shit, we got to even it out and balance the forces on this very next drive." And you heard it in Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt. They said, "Well, they're 0 for 2 so far." It happens. It happens. And it unfortunately happens more than we'd like.
I almost broke everything in my house. When that first flag of a pass interference, I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I'm like, I was thinking in my head, oh my god, this is how the game's going to go. This is how the game's going to go. It's going to be a flag every second. They moved their arm, flag. And another penalty that I still didn't understand was the false start on the field goal when he clearly jumped off sides.
So what they said it was on the center because he did a slight hitch in his motion. It was ridiculously stupid. I mean, what does it matter?
I know we won. I just want to talk about that call because obviously that was a to start off the games and even seeing the announcers confused by it, you're like, what the fuck?
Announcers ripping it, which I actually give Brady a lot of props for. Because
First-
this was his first Super Bowl, first year officiating, and he held no punches.
No, he said, fuck that. And you want
Which is what you want. Which is what you want. You don't want an NFL. You don't want announcers to suck off the NFL left and right.
yeah, and it was funny though because when when they brought up Brandon Graham and they asked Tom Brady, he's like, "Don't bring up that name to me." He's like, "We're friends. We're friends. We both went to Michigan, but don't bring up that name anymore."
Yep.
All right. Whew.